Hello everyone. The topic I have taken in this video pertains to when can the goods be confiscated? What are the penal provisions or when can penalties be levied under the Customs Act? My name is Viren Dayal. I'm a custom broker and a LSC certified trainer in customs law, applied rules and regulations.
For latest updates, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.
Penalties are levied on a person who omits to do or does not do or does something, and the action of not doing something or omitting to do or doing something will render the goods liable to confiscation. This is broadly known as improper import of goods and improper export of goods. Under the Custom Act, under Chapter 14, the reasons what is known as improper import of goods and improper export of goods has been explained in various sections and subsections. Improper imports, once made, the goods will be initially seized by the department, and before any penalties are levied under the provision of the Customs Act, it is mandatory for the adjudicating authority to issue a show cause notice under section 124, and till that time no goods can be confiscated and no penalties can be levied. An opportunity should be given to the importer, exporter or the assessee to appear before the custom officer for a personal hearing after the show cause notice has been issued under the provision of section 124. Having done this and the process of adjudication is done, only then, depending upon the severity of the case, depending upon the omission or something done which should not have been done, the quantum of penalty can be levied. Improper importation or attempting to do something which leads to improper importation, improper exportation or something amounting to do which may lead to improper exportation, as far as this act is concerned, is known as smuggling. Hence, under the Custom Act, smuggling has been specifically defined and therefore the dictionary meaning is not considered here. Otherwise, smuggling is in a very broader form and can have many parameters. But as far as the Custom Act is concerned, improper imports and improper exports would tantamount to smuggling. As explained, goods can be confiscated, and before they are confiscated, they must be seized. And after the seizure is done, a show cause will be issued and then the adjudication process will commence. Once the adjudication is done, then the goods can be confiscated, but penalty must be paid by the importer and the exporter. So the whatever process I have explained here so far leads to the occurrence of a civil liability under the Customs Act. Whether you like it or no, you have to pay when the civil liability accrues, whether or not a criminal liability accrues. The Customs Act can only try you for civil liabilities, that is penalty, fine, duty, interest and so on. It cannot try you for any criminal liabilities, and the prerogative of criminal liability is with the Sessions Court and the Sessions Judge. Once it is established that the goods are liable to confiscation and that they have been seized, we need to understand what are the penalty provisions which will accrue on that particular importer in case of improper importation of goods. Hence, now I will discuss the quantum of penalty in different cases. The quantum of penalty for prohibited goods would be rupees 5,000 or the actual value of the goods as determined under the Customs Act when the goods are imported into India. In the other scenario, if the goods are not prohibited but duty has been evaded, the quantum of penalty will be the duty evaded. That means the duty paid and the duty determined, the difference between the two, would decide the quantum of penalty of rupees 5,000 or 10% of the difference of duty not paid, whichever is higher. This is the second part. In the second part, the goods are not prohibited, but the duty has been evaded. But however, if a show cause notice is issued under section 28 and the duty is determined under the provision of section 28, then the quantum of penalty will be 25% of the duty not paid, or duty less paid, or duty evaded, as the case may be. There is another third part which is a bit different than the others, where the value of the goods declared by the importer, the value so determined by the proper officer, or rupees 5,000, whichever is higher, will be the quantum of a penalty. And the third scenario, If I have to give an illustration, if the value declared by the importer is 1 crore rupees, however, the value determined by the custom officer is 60 lakh rupees, when he challenges the transaction value that on what basis have you arrived at 1 crore rupees, when the same product from the same country, from the same manufacturer, in the like kind and quality and quantity can be purchased at 60 lakhs, and therefore I doubt the truth and accuracy of your value. You have overvalued the material as if you are trying to send more foreign exchange from India to the extent of 40 lakh rupees, and therefore you have not complied with the FEMA regulations correctly, and now I will impose a penalty on you. But the price declared by you, which is 1 crore, the price determined by me, which is 60 lakhs, the difference between the two, 40 lakhs or rupees 5,000, whichever is the highest. This particular point pertains mainly to FEMA violation. In the fourth part, where the goods are prohibited and the value declared is more than the declared price or rupees 5,000, whichever is the highest, will determine the quantum of the penalty in the fourth scenario. And in the fifth scenario, for levy of penalty, where the goods are not prohibited but duty has been evaded and the value declared is higher than the value thereof or rupees 5,000, whichever is the highest will be the quantum of the penalty under the provisions of section 112. So what I have covered here is the provision of section 111, which leads to improper importation of goods and the goods are liable for confiscation, and the penal provision which accrue depending on the one of the 5 cases, which can be decided by the adjudicating authority after issuing a show cause notice and at the time of giving a personal hearing and the decision and the order passed accordingly. So these are the penal provisions for improper imports. Similarly, there are penal provisions for improper exports as well, which I will again discuss in a sequential manner. In case of penalty for exports, is essentially broken up into 3 parts. When improper importation is done and the goods are liable for confiscation, and it is found that if the goods are prohibited, then penalty will be taken on the value of the goods as declared by the importer or determined by the officer of custom, whichever is higher, and on that value a penalty of 3 times will be taken or rupees 5,000, whichever is higher. Where the goods are not prohibited but export duty has been evaded, then 10% of the export duty or 5,000, whichever is higher, or in case the act falls under section 28 and recovery proceedings have been initiated, then the penalty will be up to 25% of the export duty which has been evaded. This is the second part of the penal provisions for goods which have been improperly exported. In any other part, the value of the goods as declared by the importer or the value as determined by the department, whichever is higher, or rupees 5,000, will be the penalty under improper exports. Another type of penalty which is imposable under the Custom Act is under section 114AB, which talks about an instrument obtained by fraud under the provision of the foreign trade policy. In such cases, a penalty will be levied on the face value of the instrument which has been produced by the importer at the time of importation, and the penalty will be taken on the value, on the face value of the script or instrument which has been taken by or utilized by the importer. In the Finance Act of 2021, section 114 AC was introduced to give effect to fraudulently using input tax credit for the purpose of exports and try to claim an extra refund under the provision of the GST Act. In such cases, if the exporter tries to claim more refund under the GST law, so penalty for fraudulent use of input tax credit at the time of export will be of to 5 times the value of the input tax credit or refund taken at the time of export, and the exporter will accordingly pay the penalty on the goods. There are residual section 117 which talks about a penalty up to rupees 4 lakhs on an importer or exporter where no express penalty has been mentioned under the provision of the Custom Act and the importer or the exporter has contravened certain provisions not expressly mentioned. In such case, the penalty will be up to 4 lakh rupees. And this is covered under section 117. The last topic in the penalty provision is section 116. And this penalty is levied on the person in charge of conveyance who does not unload a manifested quantity or short lands a manifested quantity, thereby depriving the government of India the revenue since the goods have come or not come at all. In such case, the penalty will be on the person in charge of the conveyance and the quantum of penalty will be twice the amount of duty payable on those goods which were manifested but either they were short landed or they were not unloaded at all at a custom station. So this is how penalty provisions are included in chapter 14 of the Customs Act 1962.
For detailed learning of all logistics subjects, visit www.logiveda.com.